Hi everyone, welcome to week 2 of English 102 Online. I'm going to walk you guys through a little bit of the assignments you have for this week and some tips on choosing a research topic for our first project and writing research questions. So I hope this is a short, sort of easy video to get through, so let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so last week you should have looked over the Writing Project 1 description, so I hope this looks familiar to everyone. I just wanted to sort of go over a little bit of specifically what I want this project to focus on, because I saw a little bit of confusion in our discussion board about the difference between a social issue and a community topic. So although our overall course topic is social issues, what we're going to start with is really just narrowing down on a community that you're a part of, that you care about, that may be impacted by social issues. So if I commented on your discussion board and said something like, oh, is there a community that this relates to, or something more specific than a umbrella issue, that's what I was kind of getting you to think about. So when you think about ethnography, which is what our first project focuses on, it literally means a picture of a culture. This is the kind of study of a group of people, their behaviors, their experiences, their interests, their connections, and how that impacts those as members of a group, but then others outside of this group as well. So what I want you to do is think about a group that you're a part of. This could be the people at your gym, the people in our class. This could be a hobby, a job. It could be an interest that you have. It could be a place you've been to. There's really endless possibilities here. But what I want it to be is something that's important to you and something that you have experience with. Because as you'll see under this gathering data point under the traits of ethnographic research is that ethnography asks that you as a researcher are also part of the research itself. So your experiences, your observations, your own description of what it's like to be in this community is part of the research. Also, what you're going to do is interview and survey people in the community, and it's easier to do that when you're part of it as well. So I know this might be a new kind of research to some of us, but I think it's a really interesting and useful way to kind of approach social issues before we kind of dive into our second bigger research project. So this week we're going to focus on choosing topics and really narrowing down into the communities that you all are interested in. So the other part of this writing project description was the major assignments. So we do have your next major assignment is the proposal due in week 4. I apologize, week 3. So this week, I'd like you to look over the assignment sheet for that, but then also work on a smaller, I'm calling it a minor assignment, that'll get you just thinking about topics. So the assignments we've got for this week include your second discussion board. Great job with that first one, by the way. I was really happy to see a lot of great discussion, a lot of great responding going on. So please continue that into week 2, and your ethnography topics will be due this Sunday. So if you started to think about a community last week and you're still not sure, or you want to make sure that that's what you'd like to choose, this ethnography topics assignment will help you do that. So the first thing I want to do is show you guys just a quick video that kind of talks about the process of ethnography and what it means in a little bit more detail and maybe a little bit more eloquently than I can. So I'm going to play this for a bit of our video, and then I will get back to our assignments.
Without disrupting them. In order to study people, anthropology uses a process called ethnography. There are 4 key things to know about ethnography. 1. It is run in a complete immersive way. The anthropologist enters and spends a significant amount of time in the real environment needed to be observed, and this varies between 1 to 3 weeks. When we studied flexibility at work in PricewaterhouseCoopers, New Zealand, we went there from 9 to 5 and even had our own desk and access cards. Number 2. It tries as much as possible to not alter or reproduce real life. So in order to understand not just what people say, but also to connect it to what they do, the anthropologist interacts and observes people as they go about their daily activities without disrupting them. When we studied financial debt and technology solutions for harmony in New Zealand, we We followed our customers everywhere they went as they considered and went through the debt application process. For example, we were spending time in a used car lot office and then moved to a management boardroom or then to the basement of an office cleaning support team. 3. It uses social and cultural academic theories to scale the understanding of a small group to a larger one. The observations in the studied environment are matched against social and cultural theories that can help explain and scale the findings of the research. When we studied New Zealand's engagements with the kiwi bird protection and gaming, we also analyzed national identity formation as well as the importance of the environment in the New Zealand culture. 4. It's actionable by working in complement and enhancing practices like design thinking, user experience, or organizational development.
Okay, so I hope from this quick snapshot that you can understand that ethnography, like they've said here, is immersive. It means that you want to be really in that community to see what's happening, that you don't want to give a fake view of the community you've chosen, but also that we're going to kind of work alongside existing research. So if you're thinking, I thought we're going to do some database work and we're going to look for articles, we are going to do that. And that's going to kind of complement your own experience and what you're seeing in the community you're a part of. So I know that that sounds like a very complex process, but I promise over the next 6 to 7 weeks, we're going to do this in small pieces. So this week, we're just going to focus on topics. What are you going to do? So to start, think about the communities you're a part of. I want you to choose something that connects with your experience, be something you can see, something you can observe, and be not easy to collect primary research for, but what I don't want you to do is say, oh, I'm going to go out and interview an ICU nurse at a hospital. Because chances are we are living through a pandemic and you probably won't be let in. So that's really not a realistic option. But interviewing your cousin who works in the ICU and on their off day, that could work. So just something realistic as well. Once you've chosen a topic or kind of a general community, like I have here a couple examples, like dog owners, I want you to think about how you can narrow them down. So for me, I'm a dog owner, but something I might think about is the difference between good and bad dog owners, people who own pit bulls like me, or also those who have Instagram accounts for their dogs, which I do. Or if I was thinking about the idea of foreigners, like I was a foreigner when I was living in Japan, I could narrow that down by saying, okay, I'm thinking specifically of foreign teachers living in a specific part of Japan. And then another example would be nurses. If I want to make that more specific, I might think of ER nurses during COVID. So if you're thinking of, oh, I maybe might do something with my gym, I want you to make that more specific by thinking about where that is, who it might include, and how you can kind of delineate between people in that group. All right, so these are just some things to keep in mind. Once you've decided a couple different communities you might look at, and this assignment for this week will walk you through this step by step. What I want you to do then is to add what we call research questions. So your readings this week will also talk about research questions. There is some information in Krauss as well that we'll get to. But when you think of research questions, these are really important because these questions are going to be what kind of guides the rest of your project. So I always recommend that you start with words like how or why. If I was choosing dog owners that have Instagram accounts, I could say, why do dog owners make Instagram accounts? And this makes me really think about myself. How do dog owners decide what to post and why? Because, we're not posting as the dogs themselves, but the owners of them. Ask people around you what they think about this community. Start with what you know and what you want to know. And as you go through this topics assignment, you may have a couple communities that you can't think of any questions for. And that probably means that it's not the best choice for you. I think that the research question is what's really going to drive what you find and what you look for. So it's the idea of going from your general topic, thinking about what you know, and then developing what we call a working research question. So I want you to kind of go through this process this week as well. once you've gotten an idea of what your questions are, I want you to think about how you can evaluate them. Are you really getting at the heart of the question? So some examples I have here, if I was doing, I have a lot of students that choose social media, and they have here, how should social networking sites address the harm they cause? I think this is a little unclear because it's not saying what kind of harm they cause or which social networking sites. So here, we've changed it to what actions should social networking sites like MySpace and Facebook take to protect users' personal information and privacy? So the harm we've now described as lack of privacy, and then the specific sites probably be updated. I don't remember when MySpace was even a thing, but we could say Facebook and Twitter. The second one, maybe what's the effect on the environment from global warming? This is probably a more appropriate question for like our second research project, but what I want you to understand is that it's really vague. And so we can make this more specific by saying, what's the most significant effect of glacial melting on the lives of penguins in Antarctica? And what you can tell is that it's going to give you very different results, but very specific and more focused ones. And that's the key to good research, is starting with a good question. So I think that you want to approach research questions with the idea that you don't know what you're going to find until you know what it is you're wanting to answer. All right, after you've written your questions, reread them. Ask yourself, are they clear? Are they focused? And then are they complex enough? If you ask a question like, are dog owners happy? The answer to that could be yes, could be no, could be maybe, but it really can't go much further than that. That's why questions like why or how are asking for something a little more complex. So if your question has a single answer, it is not complex enough. All right. The other thing I want you to start thinking about this week is APA format. So I had you kind of dip your toes into this format with the library scavenger hunt. But for this week, what I want you to do when you turn in your ethnography topics is add an APA cover page. There is a APA template, and the example for this assignment has a cover page included. So if you look at that example, you'll know exactly what I'm looking for. But I want you to kind of get into the habit of approaching your major assignments with APA format in mind. So I'll post some more in-depth resources for APA format next week when we've got our first major assignment due, but I want you to start thinking about it this week. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Next week, we're going to get into more APA format and proposals for your ethnography, which is essentially like, here's my topic, and here's how I plan to research it. You know, this feels like a lot of build up to the actual research, but planning is key. So if you have any questions, please contact me over the course of the week, and I will talk to you guys soon.